And we are live again. Alright, let's see. So for this stream, I'm just going to be going over the top cut of the two store regionals that we have data from. There was a third in New Jersey, but I don't think that we have results for that. As far as things go, from what I saw on Twitter, it looks like people said that the Bandai app kind of messed up on the deck lists or something. I'm not sure why, but it's not on Eggman events, at least, so I can't go over it. So I'm just going to be going over the top cut of both of the tournaments. So we have top 8, specifically for Power 9 games, which is the one that was in Las Vegas. There were 38 players, so 6 rounds of Swiss. And then for Magic Stronghold Store Regionals, which had 56 players, so more towards the cap. And that, I believe, is in Canada, just to show the information for the stores. Magic Stronghold, they do a lot of Magic stuff. Should look at them if you're interested in Magic and you live in Canada. And Power 9 Games, also Magic and other things. And they are located specifically in Las Vegas, so if you're in the area, I mean, help out stores who are, helping our favorite games. So, I'll close these for now. So, I'm just going to go over the top lists, though I will look at the total archetypes for everything. So, top 16, we have a pretty oversized representation of 7 Great Demon Lords in the Power 9 Games tournament. There were 6 decks, so more than anything else. 4 Mirages, 4 Numemons, 3 Yellow Vaccine, 3 Magnamon X, 2 Ragnalord, which is fairly surprising to me, and then 16 other decks. It would be nice if we kind of knew the breakdown on what those were, but they're outside of meta, so, probably not a thing to worry about too much. And then top 16, we have 3 7 Great Demon Lords, which is probably more than we'll see for the top cut and anything else at this point. And then 2 Magnamon X, which is more representation than it's had in a while. 1 Yellow Vaccine, 1 Numemon, and 1 Rapidmon X, which is really surprising because you just don't see pure bunnies topping anywhere. Though, again, this is a bit of a smaller tournament, so it's hard to say. This has, 6 more players than my regular regional. Not regional, sorry. My regular local does, so it's a little bit surprising on that. So I'm going to go from the bottom up, just so that we can go over everything. 8th place, we have the Magnamon X deck by Shen T. So we're going to go on that now. As far as things go, this looks fairly standard, though Duranda is new. Also Trident. Trident is really surprising. So, we'll just go over ratios and everything. Demi-V, 4. That's just what you want, period, for this deck. You can't really run anything else. And then we have 4 of the new Vmon. I know that some people don't like it very much, but in my version of this deck, I also run 4. Just turns out really nice. Gaining the 1 memory off of something else digivolving is great, or something else being played is great. And the plus 2000 DP inherit is necessary if you're running the pure deck, because you need to be able to get over Yellow Vaccine. 4 of the promo, which, yeah, that's really necessary. The reduction is great. The drawing, not once per turn, is also great. 2, specifically, of the Searcher. I do like this Searcher. To be fair, my ratios are 4, 4, 4, and 4 of exactly these. I'm not sure why you would want to run less Vmon, but probably just so that they can put in some more tech cards. It is the weaker Searcher of the two. Being able to grab any free trait is great, but the fact that it doesn't grab a Tamer when this deck really wants to have at least some Davis in play, kind of sad. We all know this VMon, Reliable Searcher, BT12, searches top 3, adds one thing with free trait and one card with Davis in its name. That's pretty great. 3 of the BT13 Royal Knights Magnamon. It's great, has armor form, so it helps with everything, even though it doesn't have armor purge. Blocker, as pretty much every single Magnamon is. And then when it leaves, you draw one and you can play a VMon from sources or from your hand. Just staple. Then 4 of the starter deck one, again, great. 4 of the blocker, armor purge, unsuspend when digivolving, also very good. And 4 Magna X. That one's really, really good. I don't really need to tell you that. When digivolving, gain 3000 DP, unsuspend, becomes unaffected until the end of your opponent's turn. And then if it has an armor form or magna under it, activate when digivolving when a card is removed from security once per turn, all turns. Just amazing, period. I run 2 of the other Magna X because it helps in specifically this matchup against itself, but I stopped running this deck because it just wasn't as explosive as everything else, unfortunately. Duranda is interesting. So 2 Duranda in this deck. Let's see, Digivolve, level 5, that doesn't matter in this deck, but by paying 3 and placing this card under one of your Legend Arms trait or one of your level 6 Digimon's bottom Digivolution card, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as that Digimon. Okay. So it's specifically used as a removal piece for 3. That's not bad. That's not bad. It also gives piercing. I mean, piercing's good in this deck. Piercing is really good in this deck, I'd imagine. I do like that as attack. It's not crazy, but it's not bad. You'll reliably be able to get to at least 15. So you can basically blow up anything for 3. And if they have aces, that's good. That's worth testing when the sim comes back, or comes up with the new cards, as a tech can do a lot of things, to be honest. Well, we'll look into that later, but I do like that as a tech. I like it a bit more than the Trident Arm, I think. Death X is great. We all know Death X. When you would play this card, reduce by 3 for each Digimon and Tamer your opponent has in play. It's great against Numemon because you can play it out for free, or like 5 most of the time. On play when Digivolving, de-Digivolve 1 all of your opponent's Digimon, and then delete all of your opponent's level 4 or lower. Against Numemon, it just deletes the whole board. And then end of your opponent's turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. Death X is great. I can see why they're running it too. You could also run Ruin in this, but you kind of want to just keep Magna X, so I understand that pick. 2 Blinding Ray is standard for this. Trash top card of your security stack and gain 2 memory. Works very well. X Antibody is a great pick in this. It's not one that I necessarily use very often for this deck, but to be able to swing with a Magna, go into Magna X, and then have it unsuspend is good. Final Zubagon at 2 is interesting. The real thing is you need to already have the boost, and unless you're doing it on the exact same turn that you're going into Magna, then it's not really going to come up all that much, because you have to Digivolve for a play cost of 5. You're usually not going to keep turn unless you have a flooded board of Davises. So 2 is maybe a bit much, but I can see why you'd like it. 1 Awakening is interesting. 3 cost to go into Magna X on top of a Magna. Always great. I could see running it at 2 or 3, but 1 is a bit low. A blue memory boost just to dig further for Magna X. Always good. I'd probably cut it to add another Awakening. Cut it to like 2. But yeah. Trident Arm is also an interesting tech. I have not seen this in this deck before. You Digivolve 3 one of your opponent's Digimon, and then until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains start of main phases must attack. Hello. Sorry, I am back. Also, hi Macho, if you're still there. Let's see. Trident Arm. Yeah. It's good. I don't know running it at 2, but it's good. The Davis is great. Start a main, gain 1 if you have a free trait, which you're always going to in this deck. And activate 1. Yeah. Play Vmon. It's good. It's good. 2 Shu makes sense. She sets and also gives something with X antibody trait, Alliance and Reboot. Always nice. Works out. Let's see. I mean, it's very standard, other than a few tech picks. So, I don't know. I can see why this got, what, 8th? Makes sense. Alright, let's see. 7 Great Demon Lords. There are 3 of them in the top cut with this, which is interesting. They're running Drazel. Drazel's good, but Drazel kind of gets in the way of your game plan some. So basically, if you flip into it first, it will give you up to, 12 reduction on everything, and they don't die at the start of your turn. But just the big issue is that when you have it in your breeding area, all of your Digimon can't Digivolve. And you have a handful of things that Digivolve in this deck, specifically Levia X, and most decks, or at least some of the decks, are running Beel's X, and you need to Digivolve into Beel's X from Beel's to get that effect. So being able to do that helps a lot, especially Sleep Mode. Sleep Mode Digivolves for 1 on top of Rage, and that helps quite a bit with certain things, but yeah. So let's go over this list. It seems not quite standard. I don't know why you would run 7 full cluster if you don't have a Beel's X in this deck at all. It does not look like they do. That seems like a mistake, but okay. And Bite and Crush. Yeah. Okay, so Sistermon. See, on play by trashing 1 card in your hand, draw 2. Helps with your game plan, drawing more cards, getting more cards in trash. The other effect does not matter in this. Loosemon from EX6. You can Digivolve on Cupidmon for 5. You're not going to do that. Start of your main or on play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with Angel, Archangel, 3 Great Angels, or 7 Demon Lords trait among them to hand. Trash the rest. Helps fuel your trash, which you want for this deck. End of your turn, once per turn, by placing 1 of your level 6 Digimon on top of your security stack, this Digimon may Digivolve into Loosemon Chaos Mode in your trash without paying the cost, which is good. If you somehow flip into Drazel, then you cannot do that, but it just is a trash engine, which helps. Also, I should go into Great Gate of Deadly Sins. Breeding, starting your main, you place the top card of your Digi-Egg as its bottom Digivolution source and delete all of your Digimon. Yeah. If this effect deleted, place 1 7 Great Demon Lords trait from your trash at this Digimon's bottom Digivolution card. And then breeding, end of opponent's turn, by deleting this Digimon with 7 or more Digivolution cards with different names. You may play 1 Oduga from your trash without paying the cost. And then breeding, when 7 Great Demon Lords trait would be played, you may reduce the cost by 3. If it has 5 or more Digivolution cards with different names, you may reduce it by 4 instead. It's just good. It's just good. Porcupamon is a good way to get rid of floodgates on play, on deletion. Delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. Just good for cleaning up the board so that you can use this effect. Loosemon Chaos Mode. Digivolve on top of regular Loosemon for 6, or using the Loosemon's effect, you can do it for, cheaper. On play, when Digivolving, your opponent may delete one of their opponent's Digimon or Tamers. If it didn't delete, trash the top card of their security stack, and then you recover one. All turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area by returning one Loosemon from its Digivolution cards or your trash to the bottom of the deck, you may play one Loosemon Satan mode, or one level 6/7 Great Demon Lord's trait from your trash without paying the cost. Just good. It's also a way that you can chip things in their security and keep recurring stuff. Satan mode's not out yet, but, comes later. Unfortunately, that deck seems to have flopped. Loosemon Chaos Mode. This one can Digivolve to this for a cost of 7, ignoring its Digivolution requirements, and then for every 10 in your trash, reduce the memory cost when playing this card from your hand by 3. You can play it for fairly cheap later. On play, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Tamers or level 6 or lower Digimon. It's just good. It's just a good card. Lilith, my favorite in this deck, to be fair. On play, when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains end of turn, delete this Digimon, so it just kills itself. And then all turns once per turn, when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by battle, by deleting one level 5 or lower Digimon, prevent it. So you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon to keep her on the board, so she doesn't, die to your gate or anything else. And then opponent's turn, once per turn, when another Digimon is deleted, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack, so, helps with the Lilithmon effect, sometimes can help chip them down. Doesn't happen so much in this deck, but will in her own deck later on. Sleep, it's just unaffected. It's good for that, but it's unaffected. Beals, pretty much an all-star in this deck, especially against so many ace cards. Rush on play, or when Digivolving, trash the top 4 cards of your deck. Then if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you Digivolve 2 of one of your opponent's Digimon. Great. Their aces are always going to be their level 6s or level 5s for the most part. Or I think just period at this point. I don't think there's any level 4 aces. And then when it would leave the battle area, place 1/7 Great Demon Lord's trait from your trash as the bottom source of a gate. Just good. Fuels the gate. Creepy. Creepy is your premier removal in this deck. It's a blocker as well, so it can stop you from losing quite as fast. On play, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. Trash as many cards from the top of your deck as a level of the Digimon this effect deleted. Fuels your trash, gets rid of something that's big. And then when it would leave the battle area, place a 7 Great Demon Lords from your trash as a bottom Digivolution source of the gate. Good. Leviamon. This is the new one. All turns once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon or one of your 7 Great Demon Lords is played, by trashing one card in your hand, return the bottom 3 Digivolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. And then if they have as many or fewer total Digimon and Tamers as you, delete one of their Digimon with no Digivolution cards. So, it's very good against non-level 6s, but against level 6s, not always the best. And then when it would leave the battle area, tuck something. Standard, it's pretty good. Not as great of removal as the old ones and Biting Crush, but it's there for reasons of fueling your gate. Leviamon, Sec +1, very nice. Specifically, this is your win con if you get the Drazel, but, on play, when Digivolving, if your opponent has as many or more total Digimon and Tamers as you, delete one of their opponents with the highest level, and then delete one of your opponent's lowest level. It's great. Just great. Not quite as effective against Nume, but against everything else, it pretty much clears everything up. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, gain a memory for each Digimon deleted. It's not once per turn, so gain a ton of memory. Pretty great. let's see. Rage mode. May trash up to 3 cards in your hand. For each one, suspend one of your opponent's level 5 or lower, then delete all of their lowest play cost suspended. This one's better against Numemon in particular, but yeah. Alterns, when it would leave, place 7 Great Demon Lords from your trash as the bottom Digivolution card. Again, fuels the gate. Go into Odugo. Levia X, specifically, digivolves from regular Levia for 2. From trash alterns, when an effect plays an opponent's Digimon or Tamer, one of your Leviamon or Digimon with X antibody can digivolve into it without paying the cost. So it's one of the first like actual trash interaction cards. Sec +2, again, one of your win cons if you specifically get Drazel on top. When digivolving, if your opponent has as many or more total Digimon or Tamers as you, delete one of their Tamers and then delete one of your opponent's level 3, one of their level 5, and one of their level 7. So, just good. Just really good. Rage, specifically great against Numemon, this version. Start of your main, delete all of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. You stack it before it dies to the gate. Doesn't fuel the gate, but just gets rid of everything on the board. Delete all level 5 or lower, and then if you have 6 or fewer in your hand, it gets the other thing, but in this deck, that doesn't really matter unless you only have Drazel on top. Let's see. Ruin's good, -5 to everything on the board, and then when it dies, another -5. Merciful's interesting in this. I suppose it's for the mirror, right? Has to be, because bottom deck 20 things. So Digivolve 3 for Omni, that's never going to happen, so 6 on anything except this Beelsmon, Sleep, and Lilith, because everything else has a color, except for Levia. Okay, back to it. Let's see. So Odugo is only ever in this deck going to be played off of Gate. You can't off of Drazel, and you wouldn't want to commit it if it's just going to die. So when digivolving, when attacking, you may place up to 7 Great Demon Lord trait cards with different names from your trash as this Digimon's bottom sources. If 4 or more replace, delete one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, which is good by itself, but you need the sources for the other effect. When attacking, by returning 7 Great Demon Lords traits with different names from this Digivolution cards to the bottom of the deck, delete 7 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, and then trash the top 7 cards of their security, and then for each card it deleted, reduce the number of security cards trashed by 1. So basically you want to chip them down a little bit, and then, swing for game with Odugo. It's good. It takes a little while, but you have enough removal options in the deck to get there. And then you run a bunch of options to just enable things. Rise is specifically the enabler for this deck. You may place one 7 Great Demon Lord's trait Digimon from your hand or trash as the bottom source of the gate. And then you place it in the area. All turns when one 7 Great Demon Lord's trait's deleted, delay, you may play one trait or from the Digivolution cards of your gate in the breeding area without paying the cost. So basically gets you another guy for the next turn. Play something in sources and then play something back up. It's very good. 7th Lightning and Biting Crusher specifically for a Leviamon. So Biting Crush, by trashing one card in your hand, delete one of your opponent's level 6 or lower. If it trashed with 7 Great Demon Lords, or if an effect trashed, If an effect trashed a card with 7 Great Demon Lords trait, place this card in the battle area. And then all turns when an opponent plays, or an effect plays an opponent's Digimon delay, you may play a Leviamon from your trash. So it's best comboed with the old Leviamon because it's even more removal. The new one just removes one thing, but it's still something. And then you have 7th Lightning. When one of your Digimon digivolves into Levi X, by returning this card to the bottom of the deck, delete one of your opponent's level 4 and one of their level 6s. So in combination, you can delete up to like 5 things with 7th Lightning. And then main, by trashing one card in your hand, delete one of your opponent's level 4 and one of their level 6s. So it's good removal as well. But you really kind of want it in trash off of your trashing effects. And then 7 Full Cluster makes no sense in this version of the deck because they're not running a Beelz X at all. Not sure why it's here. So it's a 7 cost that deletes one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. Extremely highly costed for that effect. But trash your turn when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Beelz X by returning this card to the bottom of your deck. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So basically it's a free deletion if you're going into Beelz X. And Beelz X, for every 10 cards in your trash when you digivolve into it, you get to remove one security card. So Beelz X just helps you chip so that you can go into Odugo and then get rid of the rest of their security so that you can swing for game. But 7th Cluster without a Beelz X doesn't make much sense. Sorry to harp on that so much, especially to the person who's playing the deck, just kind of confusing. Okay, another Magna X. So, 4/4/4/2. Oh, they have a Buka. I guess Buka makes sense, jamming. But you can't digivolve. Actually, they're not running the new Vmon. That's why this is fine. So, you want to run 5 eggs if you're running Bukamon anyway. But because they're not running the new Vmon can't digivolve on top of Bukamon. So this makes more sense with that. This Ukamon's great. All-star of the format for basically every deck for the most part. Except for, Mirage. Digivolve for 1 on top of an egg. And then when you push out once a turn each turn, you get to hatch and also search top 3 for a Digimon and a Tamer. It's very good. It feels a bit rough to have only 12 rookies that can go into your stuff, but having this for smoothing on searching definitely helps. Magnamon at 3 makes sense. This one at 4 also makes sense. 4 on this one also makes sense. 4 Magna X is great. Just GX. So we saw a lot of Just GX in the JP meta. I'm not sure how great it is. I was running it at 2 in my deck as a finisher, but yeah, I don't know. It's fine. So basically, you can digivolve for 5 for any level 6 with Royal Knights, and your level 6 does have a Royal Knight trait, so you can do that. And then you may place one card with Royal Knight and its traits, and then a play cost of 13 or less from your hand or trash under it as a bottom Digivolution source, and then you can activate a Wind Digivolving effect and get Blitz, so you can swing. So basically, you want to reduce them to nothing, and then, like, Omni for game with this. But it also can just put them on the back foot, because for every Royal Knight you have under it, it gains an instance of Piercing, Blocker, and Sec +1. So on any stack with this, you're going to have 1, 2, and then another Magnamon. So 3 Sec +1. So you can do 4 checks. So you can put it in a position where you get them to 0, and then they have to be able to get around any single swing that you do for the rest of the game, which is why you run it. The real issue is that you commit a lot by going into this, and also you have to protect yourself, put this one under, because then you can unsuspend. But the unsuspend really only helps for the final swing if you've already swung with Magna X. But if you just go into it, you just need a blocker and you need it to be restanded, you can just go into this one, slot under the Magna to unsuspend it. It works, but yeah, I'm less hot on the Just GX than I was when the deck was being previewed in the US. One, Blinding Ray, it's a bit low going into like a lot of things right now because you really want to be unaffected. 2 is probably the sweet spot. They're running a lot of digging in this with 3 mentals and 2 blue mem boosts. Mental, for people who don't know, the training cards, you search top 2, you can add anything that's of the color to your hand, and then later you can Digivolve for a reduction of 2. I personally didn't run any mental trainings in mine, but I can understand why you would. 3 final Zubagon Punch, that's a choice. At least when it's in security, you can add it to your hand. It helps a lot. And if you already have a Magna on the board, then it's pretty nice. The real issue, I think, for final is you need to hit 16, and Magna at the start of your turn is just 12, and in their version of the deck, they're not running any of the red Vmon, so you would need the Demi-V-Egg to get there. Granted, you're going to have the Demi-V-Egg most of the time, so Final Zubagon is, I think in this version of the deck, is the play for the turn after you go into Magna X the first time. Because you'll almost consistently be at 2 off of anything that your opponent can do. So I understand it. I'm not super hot on having it that much, or that many, but it's fine. Awakening, 2. Awakening's great. Makes sense. No notes. Second Mappa, I've not seen this in any version of this deck. Second Mappa, 3, it's a white card. While you have a Digimon with Royal Knights, you can play it without meeting color requirements. So always. Unsuspend one of your Digimon, then if that Digimon is just one GX, activate one of its Wind Digivolving effects. It's a 3-cost unsuspend. By itself, that's pretty okay. Yeah. I see the logic. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I see the logic. Fair enough. 2 Heaven's Judgment. Always good. In this deck, incredibly good. Wait, did the other deck list not run Heaven's Judgment? They didn't. So their removal was only the Duranda. And then Trident. That's interesting. Okay, sure. Alright, well, Heaven's Judgment, for those who don't know. When you have a green Digimon or Tamer in play, you can use it without meeting its color requirements. It's one of the arguments for running the old Davis Ken, so that you have blue and green. So you can just always activate it. But if you have a yellow source, basically, for 7, activate the effect below. For each color you have activated again, one of your opponent's Digimon gets 6,000 DP for the turn. Oh, let's see. I didn't have music on this whole time. There we go. So one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn, and then you activate it again for each color you have. So you can activate it up to 4 times in this deck. Because you have 1 activation, and then Magnet X is 3 different colors, so 4 activations. So minus 24 that can be spread around. Heaven's Judgment is like premier removal, I think, forever at this point. It's also a common, which makes no sense. Yellow gets so many strong commons. 3 Davises makes sense. I'd run 4, but the Davis is great. Emperor, just great in this format with how many Ukamons run around. When one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon is moved from breeding to the battle area, game 2. So you can basically force them to end turn if they don't have an Ukamon, or, you know, if they have an Ukamon, remove some of the value off of that. And then when one of your opponent's level 5 or lower is deleted, you can suspend and draw 1. It's just good, just really good. Shu, just great. So, you know, fair enough. This deck is good. I'm not sure I agree with all the choices in it, but, you know, I'm not the only player in the world, so fair enough. Okay, we're gonna see the one Rapid X. Rapid X is so interesting. Okay, so 4 Gummymon starter deck. If you have a green tamer, draw 1 when attacking once per turn. It's good. Gummy. When an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended once per turn, draw 1. I think both of those are fine. This is definitely a bit more consistent, but yeah. 3 of the Searcher Terriermon, reveal top 4, add 1 2-color green card and 1 Henry Wong. Fair enough. And then Terriermon, when you play a green tamer, gain a memory. 2, makes sense. 3 Terrier X. Okay. So you can go on Gummy or Terrier for 0. When this Digimon would Digivolve into a card with Gargamon or Rapidmon, reduced cost by 1. Yeah, it just accelerates. And then Piercing. Piercing's good. Let's see. Starter deck Terriermon is insane. You may play 1 green tamer or level 3 Digimon card with Lopmon in its name for a reduction of 2 without suspending it or anything. It's super, super good. Running it at 4, as they should. 2 Lopmon. I'd probably like more, but that makes sense. One of your Digimon gains Alliance for the turn, so you can suspend another Digimon to get a security attack and its DP for the swing. It's great. While it's suspended, gains plus 1,000 DP. Inherit, also very good. And the Terrier X gives Piercing for your Alliance swing as well. Just very good. Rapidmon's always good. This is the one that for each of your Tamers suspend an opponent's Digimon, and then up to 3 get minus 5,000. It's great. You want to run 4. You want to run 4 of everything in this, basically, for the Rapids. Starter deck, Blocker, Armor Purge. When it becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon and all of your security get minus 4,000 until the end of their turn. Just really strong. 4 Rapidmon, level 5. So you can Digivolve from Gargo or Rapid for 3 instead of 4. It's great. The on-play also matters because it's 7. On-play, Digivolve 1 of your opponent's Digimon, and then if you have a green tamer, it can't be deleted or returned to hand or deck. Very good protection in this format, to be honest. The problem is that it doesn't stop DP minusing, but the Inherit is also really big. When it deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top card of their security stack, which is pretty nice in addition to this Piercing. So do X amount of checks and also trash the security. Cherubi Ace. It's interesting to see. It's a good ace card. So yeah. Last Digivolve. It has Alliance and on it. Play 1 green or yellow level 4 lower Digimon card from your hand without paying the cost, and then until the end of your opponent's turn, one of their Digimon gets minus 4,000 for each of your other Digimon. Just good removal. DP minus is the best removal, so fair enough. 3 Mega Garga Aces. Mega Garga Ace is so good. The blocker and reboot, always good in this. The fact that it reboots, just helps so much. When Digivolving, suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, then 2 of their Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend or Digivolve until the end of their turn. Such a great effect. And then, when Digivolving and end of attack, you may unsuspend this Digimon, so it can just be constantly up. So good. Rapidex is great. So Digivolve for 4 on top of any of your Rapid one. Then when Digivolving, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon, and then this Digimon may attack, which, with the piercing, very nice. It's kind of sad that it's only 11k, but it is what it is. All turns, while Rapid or X is in its Digivolution cards, all of your opponents suspended get minus 4,000. It's so big into, Numemon in particular. All turns, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon's deleted in battle or by having 0 DP, gain 2 memory. Just nice. Just really nice. Hidden potential, always good. There's a reason it's at 1. 2 agility training, it's good. Double Typhoon. So this is the reveal top 3. Add 1 Digimon card and 1 green Tamer among them to your hand. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck and then place this in the battle area. And then you can play a Terriermon or Lopmon from your hand without paying the cost next turn. It's very good. Security, suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon and then place it in the battle area. Also very good. 2 Giant Missile. Giant Missile's nice. So security, it activates a main. Suspend 1 of your opponent's Digimon, then return 1 of their suspended to the bottom of the deck. And then 1 of their Digimon can't unsuspend. So just stops game or gets rid of their worst piece. Willis, when it would Digivolve into a Gargo or Rapid, you can suspend the Tamer to reduce the cost by 1. Just good. Mimi is your setter. If you have a level 5 or higher green, you can suspend the Tamer to hatch a Digi-Egg, and then or move 1 level 3 or higher Digimon from breeding area to battle area. Good. There's a reason why it's standard in green. Daiken. That's interesting. Let's see, if you have a blue in play, gain 1. If you have a green, gain 1. When 1 of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with 2 or more colors, you may suspend this Tamer to unsuspend that Digimon. It's really nice in most things, and your top end, to be fair, anything above level 4 is dual color in this deck, so I can see the logic. It's kind of interesting they don't have any Henrys, so this can't grab the Henry off of anything, but you're probably just running it for grabbing your top end in this deck. I don't know, I like this deck. I don't know how strong it is in the current meta, but I do like it. It did well too, so props to them for getting 6th, or 5th. Yeah, 7 Great Demon Lords. Okay. Yeah. This looks fairly similar to the last one. They're also not running Beals X. Yeah, that makes sense. So 4 Blanc, 4 Loosemon for your draw discard engine, 2 Porcupa to get rid of Floodgates, 4 Chaos, 4 Beals for removal, 1 Sleep, 1 Lilith, 4 Creepy, 2 of the new Levia, 2 of the old Levia, 2 Rage. Let's see, 1 Levia X. They don't have any of the old Belfay. It's an interesting choice, but fair enough. 2 Ruins. Ruins so good, so I get that, but yeah, and then 2 Okudo. You don't want more than 2 Okudo. 1 Calling Calling's really nice in this deck. When it blows everything up, you can just play it for 1, return any 2 things back to your hand. 7th Lightning at 1 makes sense, because you only have the 1 Leviathan. 3 Rivals. Rivals is really good in this deck because you're trashing things off the top of your deck so frequently. And being able to just pull anything back from your trash to your hand in a deck that's trying to play things for as low a cost as possible makes sense. 3 Biting Crush also just makes sense. Leviathan is so good. 4 Rise also makes sense, and 3 Emperors makes a lot of sense in this deck. The real thing that I'm surprised by, I guess, personally, is the lack of the old Belphamon. But, you know, what can you do? You need to cut some things. And this deck, at least the way that they formatted it, makes a lot of sense to me. I understand why they got 4th. Makes sense. Very good. Nume. I'm surprised to see it in 3rd. Not higher. I'm surprised that there aren't more. Granted, there were only 4 of them. But it's interesting that, like, 3 people ended in the bottom, like, 30 with Nume? So. Oh, that's a weird first thing there. Okay, let's see. Starmon's on play. For each Digimon you have in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000. I guess that's a cheap way to get rid of a floodgate. Sure. It's an interesting pick. DT5 Starmon. Yeah, sure. Okay. Chikuri. It's good in the mirror. Can't reduce play costs. Also good against people who are teching in Death X's to deal with this deck. Chumon. Opponent can't gain memory except the Tamer effects. Just good. Just good. Let's see. 3 Uko. 3? Okay. That's a choice, but fair enough. So 3 of the Searcher, and then 4 of the gain 1 memory Uko. Oh. Chimera makes sense in this deck because you have so many level 4s. But I've never seen it before in this deck. I should go over the cards for the first time just so that people who don't know these decks can hear, but let's see. This Numemon, reveal top 3, on deletion, add 1 with Monze in name and 1 with Nume in name to your hand, place the rest at the bottom of your deck, and then it's inherit if it's a Monzemon or a Numemon in name, King's Blocker. It's good. Not necessarily the best one, but it's good. This Nume, you can play a Satsuki from your hand as a bottom source on player when digivolving to give one of your Digimon a brush for the turn. It's very good. Helps enable some, like, immediate plays. 4 Nume X, just great value engine. All turns while you have a Numemon or X antibody in its Digivolution cards, it gains on deletion. You may play 1 Digimon card with Numemon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. The on deletion inherit is the same, except it doesn't matter if you have a Nume or Nume X under it. And that plays out specifically Platinum Numemon, because it doesn't say level specifically. And then on play when digivolving on Platinum, you can trash 1 card with Numemon in its name from your hand to gain 2 memory. So it can steal a turn from your opponent if your stack dies. And then, yeah, on deletion, you can play 1 level 5 or lower Numemon or Monzemon from your hand without paying the cost, so just floats into even more stuff. The Garamon is a Numemon, but by trashing 1 card with Numemon or Sukumon in your hand, one of your opponents gains security attack -1 until the end of their turn. This is one that I was considering. I didn't personally run it, but it makes sense why it's here. When attacking, you can also give sec -1 to one of your opponent's things. And then this Garamon, which you want to run it for, basically always. By trashing one card with Numemon, Sukamon, Nanimon, or Etamon in its name, from your hand you draw 2. Just good. It's a Numemon for every other thing in the deck as well, so, yeah. 4 Monze, the RB1 Monze. By placing one on play, by placing a Numemon from your trash under, gain 2, so you can play it for 5 instead of 7. And then on play or when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 and Sec minus 1 until the end of their turn. It's great. Also gets Sec plus 1 when you go into Manzemon X or Numemon and its name on top of it. Just good. Just super good. 1 Etamon. I run 2, but fair enough. On play when digivolving, so you drop it for 7 most of the time. Or digivolve into it on top of something for 4. Until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP, and it must attack, start a main. So this combos with Valk specifically, but also the Inherit. It doesn't come up that much, but when it does, it's huge. So when an opponent's Digimon attacks, you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and you can play 1 black or yellow Digimon card with a play cost of 3 or less without paying the cost, then you trash the rest. So basically, you can play a Numemon out, or in this deck, they have the Starmons as well, so you can play that out, and just do value things. So, they're running 4 Monzax, makes sense. Monzax is one of the best cards in the whole deck. Digivolve for 0 on top of a regular Monzemon, and 3 on top of any level 4 that's yellow or black, which is everything in this deck. If it has Monze in name or X antibody under, you can play a Numemon or level 3 Digimon card from your hand without paying the cost, and then when a Digimon is played, all turns once per turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 for each Digimon that you have in play until the end of their turn. So it activates off of the Etamon playing something out on their turn, because it's all turns. So it's just strong. It gets rid of so many things. Yeah, it's just great. Format All-Star, Teddy Bear X. Chimera. Makes sense because you have so many level 4s and you can just play them out so free in this deck. I wouldn't personally. I'd probably run a second Etamon, but... Well, I mean, I do run a second Etamon, but, you know, fair enough. 2 Valks. I run 3, but 2 also makes sense. Digivolve. The Sylphie doesn't matter at all, basically. Digivolve for 4, minus 5 for the turn to everything as a counter. And then when a card is removed from a security stack, you can delete 8,000 DP or lower Digimon, and then if it doesn't delete, gain a security attack plus 1. The security attack plus 1 almost never comes up. You're almost always going to be deleting stuff, but when it does, it still does some work, so, you know, extremely worth running. Very generic, surprisingly. 3 Platinums. Platinum's good. I would run 2, but 3 is good. 1 Venus. So, being able to blanket security attack minus 1 to everything, and then turn off when attacking when digivolving to everything. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. It's run at 1 in most lists now, but... Or most lists for Numemon in particular. But, yeah, no. Does a lot of work. 1 Ruin Mode and 1 Death X, very standard for this deck. 2 Protoforms. So Protoform, because I haven't talked about it before, for 0, if you have Digimon, you can play it without needing a white source. So you can, one of your Digimon can Digivolve into an X antibody card for a reduction of 1. So you can go into Monze X for 2. And then activate the Monze X effect because X Protoform is X antibody. So, just great, just great. 1 Emperor, good. 2 Satsuki. Satsuki gains you a memory if your opponent has a Digimon, which is always good. And then Mind Link, you can Mind Link with Numemon or Monzemon in name, and it gains jamming and reboot, so free swing. Always good, especially with the RB1 Monzemon giving a scary tech +1, you can just do 2 checks for free without your stack dying. And then Louis. Louis isn't run in most anything else right now, but Louis is crazy. So, you can move one of your level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area on play. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, by suspending this tamer, gain 1 memory. So it's effectively 2. Actually, it's only ever going to be 2 when you're doing things. So you put an Ukamon on something in the back, and then you play out Louis, and then for 2, you move one of these out, and then you hatch, and you get even more momentum. The real thing is that a lot of the time when you're doing it, you're going to have this Ukamon, so it's going to effectively be play Louis for 1, move something out, play another Ukamon, and then you keep going. It's just so good. And the eggs. So Sunamon is the premier egg for this deck. When one of your other Digimon digivolves, you draw 1. It's great. Your card draw in this deck is insane as it is, and this adds even more card draw. And then Tokemon's just here because there's not a lot of good black generic eggs on deletion. If it's your opponent's turn, draw 1. Doesn't happen that much. It's kind of the worst one, but if it comes up, it's nice. You know. Yeah, it's a good list. The spiciest thing in this whole list is the Starmons. Like, I understand the logic of this pick. I really do. I don't know how good it is, but I understand it. I don't know, it's something to test with, probably. Chimera makes sense. I don't know that I think that it's good, but it makes sense. So, yeah, fair enough. Let's see. Second place is Yellow Vaccine. So, yeah, this looks fairly standard. So, I think that this is a mistake as far as eggs. I'm not saying that, you know, it's bad, but I think Nyaramon is the best egg for this deck after testing a lot. But let me go into them, and let me give some reasons why I think that. So Tokemon's once per turn, when a card is added to your security stack, you draw 1. It's really good, it's really reliable, so once per turn you're going to be drawing in this deck, basically. It's very good. The real thing is that Nyaramon enables everything that the deck does so much better. So, when attacking once per turn by trashing the top or bottom of your security stack, you gain a memory. That just kind of sounds bad, normally, but the real thing is that it triggers Magnamon X. So, when a card is removed from your security stack, you activate the Vintage Evolving effect. So what happens is, the way that this stacks, because it's when attacking, you swing with Magnamon X, right? And then as soon as you swing, it's already suspended. Then you trash the top of your security, and then it unsuspends. And before you even check any options or anything else, you get the protection and it's unsuspended. So if you hit a Heaven's Judgment, no you didn't. If you hit an option card, no you didn't. And the real thing that hurts this is hitting option cards, because the way that effects stack in this card game is if you do a security battle, Magnamon X activates before the security battle. So you're not going to be outed by DP most of the time. But if you check a security, the security effect activates before the Magnamon X effect does, because the security effect activates technically in security for all intents and purposes, instead of being removed from security. So, the one thing that can out Magna X, if it's not already protected, is an option. Nyaramon makes it so that that's not even a consideration. Granted, all of your other effects in this deck will be removing security before you swing the first time anyway, but Nyaramon also makes it so you can swing twice on your turn without being affected instead of just once. That's why my argument for it is at 4. But yeah, it's worth thinking about. Patamon needs to be banned. Not fully, limited to 1, but it needs to be banned. It's too good. But for those who aren't aware, Patamon is a thing that's played at 4 in any vaccine deck now. So start of your main, you can search your security attack, and then this Digimon may Digivolve into a yellow Digimon card with vaccine trait without paying the cost. You then shuffle your security stack, and if Digivolving by this effect, you can place 1 yellow card with a vaccine trait from your hand at the bottom of your security stack. So you can place another level 4 with vaccine trait at the bottom of your security stack, so that next time when you get another Patamon, you know that you can trigger it again. And because you're putting it at the bottom, it's not going to be removed by anything anytime soon. And then it has an inherent, when a card is added to your security stack, you gain a memory. So you go into something for free, and then the Patamon sees its own effect resolving, where you put something to the bottom of the security stack, so you gain 1. So it's effectively a free Digivolution for gain 1. It's busted. It's really busted. It should be limited, but until it isn't, if you're running a yellow deck that has vaccine cards, you're running Patamon. Pillamon shuts down Numamon. Players can't play Digimon by effects. That's it. It's a 3 cost. It's great. Just, it's good right now. And then you have Salamon. 3 Salamon. So start of your main, if you have 3 or more security cards, you may add the top card of your security stack to your hand. If you have 2 or fewer, you may place 1 yellow Digimon card with vaccine trait from your hand as the top or bottom of your security stack. It, again, fuels a lot of the effects of this deck. The real thing is that removing security at the start of your main activates Magna X. It has protection immediately if you choose to. Because this is a you can choose to do it later if you want. But it's a way to proc protection immediately. So 3 makes sense. And then you're going to run 4 Rapidmon, both of these great. And then 2 Gold V, because Gold V is also good. And it's Armor Form, which is required for Magna X to function. So it has Armor Purge. When Digivolving, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 for the turn, and if you have a blue or yellow Tamer in play, or if you have a card with Armor Form in your trash, 1 of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's turn. The stun doesn't really matter so much, but it does come up. Really what it is, it's a 3-cost Digivolve, and it's also vaccine. So you can go into it from Patamon for free. Very good. Yeah. So 3 Angelomon Ace and 1 Magna Angel Ace. So Angelomon Ace, another way to proc effects for you. So on play when Digivolving, it's a counter, so you can play it on your opponent's turn when they swing. By trashing the top or bottom of your security stack, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP until the end of the turn. It's just good for that. But then all turns once per turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, if you have 3 or fewer, recovery +1. So it helps keep you in the game longer, late. Or you can go into it for free on your opponent's turn. If you have 3, trash 1 thing from your security, add 1 thing to your security, and you get to do minus DP to something. It's really big. Also, if on your opponent's turn for some reason you don't have protection on your Magna X, it procs that. So yeah, Magna Angelon Ace at 1 makes sense. So it's a counter. If you have 5 or fewer security cards, recover +1, and then for the turn, 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 for each security. It's good. Recovery helps fuel a lot of the stuff that this deck does. You can just hard slam it for 4 too. You're almost never going to do that because you want to be getting into Magna X, but it still does come up. So Rapid X. Let's see. Rapidmon, you can Digivolve from Rapid for 4. You're running 8 Rapidmons, so the time that this is going to be up is always. So all turns, you get to do the minus 4,000 when something's suspended. You suspend all of your opponent's Digimon. when you digivolve into it, and then, you know, if something dies, and it will gain memory, it's just good. You run it at 2, and then you run 4 Magna. It just makes sense. And then a Venus to shut things down, Ruin for -5 to everything, Death for, you know, Numemon. Emissary of Hope is really big. Search your security stack. One of your Digimon may digivolve into a yellow level 6 or lower with a vaccine trait among them without paying the cost. And then shuffle your security stack if digivolved by this effect. If you have TK, recover. You run TK in this deck, that will probably happen. Basically, you can digivolve one of your aces into Magna X for 1, and if you have Rapid under it, or Gold V, which you will, then you have unsuspended, unaffected thing go off, you know. 3 Awakening. Awakening's great. 3 yellow memory boosts to dig. 4 TKs. This TK is crazy. So by returning the top card of your security stack to your hand, you may place 1 yellow card with vaccine trait from your hand at the bottom of your security stack. It plays for 3, but when a card is added to your security stack by suspending, gain 1. So you effectively play it for 2. It procs Magna. It sets up Pata. It does everything for you. You really like this card. Emperor at 2 makes sense because you want to slow down your opponent. And then TK. So if you have 2 or less memory, set 3. This is the BT1 TK. And then on play, look at your security stack. You reveal 1 card in it and add it to your hand. If the card is yellow, and it will be in this deck, recover +1. So, you know, it's a way to get something into your hand. It's a way to remove something from your security. It's a way to do all of the things that you want to do. This deck is extremely consistent. It's very explosive. It's not as explosive consistently as Numemon is, but there's a reason that Numemon and this are in contention for the top until Ancient Garurumon's added to the format. Oh, hi, I see a first time chat. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chat so much, I'm just going over things, but I'd love to hear input if anybody's in here. Hello, Invenom. Let's see. I'm gonna skip this one. Okay. Yeah, and then the top deck, which went undefeated, is Miguel V's 7 Great Demon Lords. So, alright. 4 Sister Mont Blanc. Good. See another Drazel. I think a lot of people that I know have dropped Drazel, but Drazel's still decent. It also gives you an extra name under, which is nice. 4 Loosemon, your draw engine, it's good. 1 Raramon. Raramon's expensive for a reason. By trashing a card in your hand, draw 2 for 4. It's a level 4. It's good. It's good. 2 Porcupine for removal. 4 Chaos Mode to go on your Loosemon. 4 Beals for removal. 2 Lilith. The Lilith is really good. I understand the 2, but yeah. 1 Sleep Mode makes sense. 4 Creepy. Creepy is just such good removal, it makes sense. 1 Rage Mode. It seems like they're going really light on the Rage Mode. Or they're going really light on the Belphemons. But really you just need them for the extra name, you don't really need them for anything else, so I guess that makes sense. 1 Levia, 1 new Levia. Makes sense. It's not that good, but it is good. And then 3 of the old Levia. It seems like they're running ratios if they go into Drazel, because you want to be in this guy if you have Drazel on top. One Leviax, sure. And then one Ruin Mode, two Ogudomons, which is what you want to see, the amount of them, basically. Calling's great. Two Deathswinger for removal. This, if it's trashed from your deck, you gain a memory, which will most likely happen with this deck, to be honest. But if you get it in your hand for whatever reason, it's also great removal because you delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower for Digimon, and then for every 10, you add a level to the effect. So it's just pretty consistent. You'll probably be hitting a level 6 most of the time with this. 1 7th Lightning. 7th Lightning's great. 4 Biting Crush. That honestly makes a lot of sense in this, because you just will start throwing out the Leviamons really quickly. 3 Rises. I'd say 4 is probably better, but that makes sense. And then 4 Digimon Emperor. I mean, honestly, this could have just won them everything. If they were able to stick more than one, it really steals turns like crazy, and most decks need level 3s to work at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, that's the Power 9 Games Store Regional. There were 38 players, and this is your Topcut. Now we're going to get into the Magic Strongholds one. This will probably go a bit faster because we've gone over most of the decks in the format at this point. But let's go. 56 players, so they hit nearly the cap. 64 is the amount. I know that the regional that I'll be going to next Saturday is going to have 64, and we have a lot of people on the wait list, so we're going to see a lot. We don't have the exact win record on these, but, you know, it is what it is. So total archetypes, we saw 11 Imperial, so Imperial was the most popular deck in this one, followed by Numemon. It's interesting to see Tyrant third, but that is what it is. 3 7 Great Demon Lords, Sylphimon, at 3. There are not any Sylphimon in Topcut, which makes sense. I love this deck, I really do, but it's not very good. In theory, Sylphimon counters everything that's good in the format right now. The real issue is that it's a DNA deck, and it does not get its pieces as consistently as Imperial does, and it also does not have as big of a payoff. So it just doesn't get to do its thing in the way that the other decks do. Then Rapidex at 3, and then 22 other decks. And then the Topcut archetypes, 5 Numemon. So if you played Numemon, it's a coin flip on whether you're in Topcut, basically. 5 Imperials, so it's also a coin flip if you play Imperial, being in Topcut. 1 Yellow Vaccine. Yellow Vaccine did not have that much showing, so Yellow Vaccine has a pretty good conversion rate. 1 Magnamon X, which again also has a pretty good conversion rate because it's at least 2 or lower. 1 Tyrant, so we have a 1 in 5 chance with Tyrant to be in top. 1 Igastramon. I imagine that's probably the only Igastramon deck. I don't even know what Igastramon does, because that deck came out before I started playing. 1 Mirage, which again, good conversion rate because it's not really showing in total archetypes. And then 1 7 Great Demon Lord, so you have a 1 in 3 chance with that deck in this regional. So we're going to go through everything. The thing is I'll probably be going a lot quicker because we've seen most everything, but we will go through stuff. So, Imperial. This looks fairly standard. So, for the searchers, these each search top 3. You can add something with free trait or Imperial in its name, and then 1 card with Davis or Ken, depending on whether it's a Vmon or a Warmon. One of a red-blue Vmon. When one of your other Digimon is played or Digivolved and has free trait or is green, gain a memory. And then this Wormmon is start of your main phase on play. If it's your turn, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 4 with Insectoid or free trait in your trash with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. So, very good for this deck. Just really good, and you can play it out for free off of your Tamer. Helps your combos. 4 of the promo to go into something for reduction. And then when attacking, if it has 2 or more colors, draw 1, not once per turn, so this will almost always activate for 2 if you're swinging. 4 of this XVmon, which is the better one. If it would DNA Digivolve, gain a memory. It also gives jamming. And then 3 of this one. I'm interested to see it's not at 4, but fair enough. When it would DNA Digivolve into a blue card, gain 1. And then it has piercing. Just great, just great. These 2 together is the best. And then 3 of this thing on. When you would play this card from your hand, if you have a blue Digimon in play, reduce its play cost by 1. I guess it makes sense, because then you play it for 3. So when attacking, if you have blue Digimon in play, draw 1, counts itself. Yeah, that's good. It's not once per turn, so also activates multiple times. So I guess the idea is to be drawing 4 cards for your swings from this, and then you have jamming from this guy, or this guy. Yeah, makes sense. So 2 of this XVmon, yeah, it just has jamming on it, so you get a free swing, and then when you swing with it, you also have jamming. Just good, fair enough. So you want 4 of the new Paildramon. New Paildramon. When Digivolving, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon. Then if DNA Digivolving, none of their Digimon can unsuspend until the end of their turn. So it's a big stun, basically, because you're going to have 4 cards under this, basically every single time. Yeah, it's just very good. And then when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, one of your opponent's unsuspended, and if it didn't suspend, unsuspend. So basically what you're going to be doing is you suspend everything, you swing with jamming and piercing through one of your opponent's Digimon, and then it unsuspends, and then you swing again, and then it unsuspends. Or no, sorry, it does not unsuspend again. So you swing, unsuspend, swing, and then you go into Imperial. Yeah. 2 of this Pale makes sense. When Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less to the bottom of its deck. Sure. This is the ST9 one. And then when attacking once per turn, unsuspend. So you just get the free unsuspend. Yeah, it's good. Oh, I should also mention Partition, because Partition's big. When this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effects or battle, you may play 1 blue level 4 and 1 green level 4. Just good, just good. So, Imperial Dramon Fighter. This is the ace card for the deck. So, on play, when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon to the bottom of their deck. Against most decks, you know, you're going to be. And then end of attack, once per turn, unsuspend, and then if you have Dragon Mode and its Digivolution cards, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So, yeah, just good, just good. Dragon Mode. So Dragon Mode, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend during, or to the end of their turn, and then by suspending one of their Digimon or Tamers, unsuspend one of your Digimon. So, what you can do is Digivolve into Pale, suspend everything, swing, unsuspend, swing, and then Digivolve into Imperial, and then suspend one of their Tamers to unsuspend. Granted, you're probably not going to keep turn, because, you know, you're Digivolving for 3. but you will have an unsuspended guy. And then when an effect plays or digivolves an opponent's Digimon, if you have a Tamer, this Digimon may digivolve into fighter mode in hand without paying the cost. So you can go into the Ace, or you can go into usually the one of this one. So, this one, when digivolving, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards, and then return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its owner's hand. By returning one Imperial Dragon Mode from this Digimon's Digivolution cards to its opponent's hand, place all of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of their owner's decks instead. It's very nice. Usually you see people teching this one in at like 1, but yeah. This Digimon gets plus 1,000 for each color in its Digivolution cards, and while it has 2 or more colors, it gains Sec +1 and Blocker. I just noticed that this one is at 1. I see most lists running this one solely and not the old one, but here's the old one. So, the starter deck 9 for 4, Digivolve into it. You may play 1 level 4 lower blue Digimon card and 1 level 4 lower green Digimon card from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying your memory costs, so then you go into another pail. Makes sense. I think that this one's better, but I see the logic. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I see the logic. Hidden potential discovered. Reduced by 5 by suspending one of your things. Great. Hammer Spark. I'm not sure that this is necessary in this deck, but gain a memory for free. It's always nice. And security gain 2. Can pass turn. Invincible Dragon Insect Fusion. You may play an XV or Stingmon from your hand without paying the cost, and then 2 of your Digimon may DNA into a Digimon from your hand until the end of your opponent's turn. The Digimon this effect DNA digivolved into can't be deleted in battle and gains Blocker. It's good. It's really good. Yeah, you can't really do a reduction, but you can play this and then gain 1 off of it, so you can pay it for actually 2, maybe 1 if you have this XVmon or something out. So, you know, Gigadeath, it's good removal. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and then place up to 10 of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of their deck in any order. Just clears a full board. Yeah. So, Daiken, this one is like the best tamer for this deck, period. Because start of your main, you can play a Vmon or Wormmon from your hand without paying the cost. It bounces back to your hand at the end of your opponent's turn, but you're basically using it as fodder to get into your DNA. And then when one of your Digimon digivolves into a blue or green, you can suspend to gain 1, or if your DNA digivolving, you can trash any 3 Digivolution cards under your opponent's Digimon. And it also fuels things like, you know, suspending thing off of Pale or other stuff like that. Or it can just help you keep turn if you don't have these Vmon, Stingmons that can just DNA at the end of your opponent's turn. So, yeah, it's good. And then 2 of the Setter Davis that searches top 3. And then you can add a blue and a green Digimon card among them to your hand. People play this in just straight blue decks. In blue-green decks, it's just better. Like, really good. And then 3 of the Demi-V, and then 2 of this one. Yeah. It's good. Fair enough. So, that's 16th. 15th. Oh, okay. This is running the Lydramon. So instead of running some of the more Stingmons and running one of the XVs, it's running Lie. Because when digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's level 4 or lower, and then 2 off of Vmon, or 3 off of a Sting, or 3 off of a Worm. And it counts as both colors for Pale if you are missing one of the others. Makes sense. Sure. 4-3. Decent ratios. 3 is probably what one of you running in the Ace 2-1. This makes more sense. I don't really understand running this one at all, personally, but I get that. And then similar ratios for everything else. It's a good deck. It suffers from DNA restrictions where you just need so many pieces, but yeah, it's good. It also, I mean, has reliable searches, draw, engine, playing things out. I mean, if you're having a hard time, you can just keep playing the searchers over and over off of Daiken. The real issue is the speed at which all the other decks move for this, but it definitely works. It's a good deck. Next set it becomes much better, but yeah. Let's see, Numemon 4/4 makes sense. 2/2 also makes sense. Garamon 4 makes sense. 1 of this. Oh. Okay, they're running the version of the deck that does not have the black tamer at all. Sure. And then, let's see. 4 Garamon. Makes sense. You want the card draw. 1 of the security -1 Garamon. Also, sure. 4 Numax. Always going to want that. So 3 of this Numemon instead of running 1 and 2. Okay. I mean, it gives you searches and you can chump with it a lot more. 1 Warumanzai. So I was never really interested in running this because it just kind of doesn't work as well as it should, but you can trash a card with Numemon and its name from your hand or its sources to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. It's really nice if they have an ace on board. That's kind of it. And then on play, so you can place a Numemon from your trash as its bottom source, and then until the end of your opponent's turn, none of theirs with play cost 5 or less can attack. So this is really nice if you're going into the mirror and, you know, they're chumping with a bunch of Ukamons, but otherwise it just kind of doesn't come up so much. Makes sense to run it at 1 if you're going to run it at all. 2 Edamons. Edamon's good. Sure. Monze at 4 and Monze X at 4 also makes sense. Okay, here's a question. Rapid or X antibody? They're running X antibody. Yeah, they're running Protos. Okay. This is an interesting tech pick. It requires the X antibody to function, but they're running 2, so I guess that makes some more sense. I'd rather run another Valk. Than this, but 2 Valk, 3 Platinum, sure. I run, I think 2, but 2 or 3, but yeah. 1 Rapid X, 1 Venus. Okay, they're running the Rapid X instead of the Death X, or instead of the extra Valk, and they're running a Quartzmon. So Quartzmon's good in the deck, but it needs to digivolve on top of the Rapid X or the Platinum. The real issue is the speed at which people can throw things out on the board at the moment. But for those who don't know, Quartzmon is a stacks piece in Digimon. You can digivolve for 6 on top of a black, green, or white, and then when digivolving, you suspend all other Digimon Tamers, and then for every 2 Digimon or Tamers, you gain a memory. Everything other than this Quartzmon, so all Digimon and all Tamers, don't unsuspend. And then, by suspending, when attacking, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, and then you trash the top of their security stack for every 5 suspended Digimon or Tamers. So, with the amount of stuff that you can throw out on the board with this deck, Quartzmon will probably play for like 2. If you're playing against another Numemon, you can gain memory back off of this, but then you can't unsuspend, and then they can't unsuspend, and then when you swing, you can trash, 1 or 2, maybe 3 things. I don't really agree with the choice in this deck because I think it's anti the game plan of this deck, but sure. I mean, why not? 2 Emperors, and then 2 Louis. So, you don't need Satsuki for this deck. A lot of decks in the JP meta have dropped it entirely because there are other options that are fine. But yeah, I mean, Digimon Emperor and Louis are both good. They do a lot of things. Okay. Imperial. We're just gonna quickly go through these Imperials because why not? 4, 4, 1, 4, 4. They're not running the other Wormmon. I guess you don't need to, but it's good. So, sure. 4, 1, 3, 2, and 2. Sure, that's good. Why not? 4 pale, 3 pale. Yeah, these just look fairly similar. I would rather run more of this dragon mode in this one. I understand that this can like push you into more plays, and when you go in with a DNA, you can swing with it immediately. Just it requires a certain bit of memory that I don't think that this deck gives you, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, this one looks fairly standard. 3, 3, 1, 1, so 1 of each tech pick. 1 of the Wormmon, everything else. 4, 3, 3, 2. Yeah, this is just the standard deck. This is probably what I would run. It looks like they have less eggs, or they're all the same, but yeah, it works. And this one, it's just 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2. Okay, this is the first time we're seeing the BT12 one. So when Digivolving, trash top 3 Digivolution cards with all of your opponent's Digimon, and then if DNA Digivolution, 2 of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards can't attack. Okay. And then if it has Imperial in its name or free trait, gain 1. I think people don't like this one so much. It's not bad, but yeah. I understand why people like the other one more, because it's just 2 swings. It's usually 2 swings with jamming, and this one isn't. Oh, they're running 4, 1, and 3. Okay. I guess this is a tech pick for trying to get rid of sources and things that matter, or potentially ace cards under things. Sure, why not? I mean, this will also, if they don't have protection on their Magna X, get rid of the things that they need to keep giving it the effect. Just generally, you have the protection going. And 3, 4, 1. Yeah. It's interesting. Most of these are similar. So, Demon Lords, Numemon, and then Mirage. Okay, this is one that's not running the Drazel. Sure. And then, so 4 Blanc, 4 Lucemon, 3 Porcupamon, so 1 more than most of the other lists have. 3 Chaos, 2 Sleeps, 1 Rage, 1 of the older Rage. I think this makes more sense if you're expecting to go into Numemon more. And then Beals at 4, which is normal, 2 Liliths, 4 Creepies, 2 Levias, 1 Levia X, and then 2 of this one. Because they're not running the Drazel, it makes more sense to be running these ratios, I think, but fair enough. And then 1 Ruin Mode to go on top of everything, and then 3 Ogudos. So 1 more than most decks run. 1 Calling, 1 7th Lightning, 3 Rivals Barrages, 3 Biting Crushes to play out your Levias. And then, let's see, 3 Rises, and 2 Analog Views, which searches your top 3, add any Digimon card, and then trash the rest. So the best purple tamer, even though he's not purple. And then one of your level 5 or higher Digimon Digivolution, or one of your level 5 or higher Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted. You may suspend this tamer. If you do, gain a memory and then hatch. That's almost never going to happen in this deck, but the search and fueling your trash is just what you want it for. Okay, is this the standard deck? It is not. It has Waru. So 2 Satskis, 2 Louis, 2 Protos. No, 1, 1, 1. These make sense. This makes sense. I personally run 3 Valks, but yeah. 4, 4, 1. So they're running 1 less Edamon to run a Waru. 1, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3. Yeah, the rest of this looks normal. Fair enough. It's a good deck. Let's see, Mirage. So I haven't gone over Mirage yet. Most of them seem to be running the 4 instead of 5 because you don't have Ukamon in this deck. But yeah, so. Oh, I should also note that while we're looking at this, for those who don't know, at least as far as this Betamon goes, right? You're running the Betamon, at least now. So let me pull up another page so that we can just... So there is a strictly better card now than the Betamon for those of you who run this deck. This Beamon gives a jamming inherent that you want out of the Betamon, but it's also a blocker. So, granted, you are not necessarily going to play down a 3 very commonly in this deck, but having a blocker is better than not having a blocker, because as far as the Betamon goes, on play, if played by an effect one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack, that is never going to happen. It won't happen with this deck, period. So having the blocker and having the same jamming effect is strictly better going forward, now that EX6 is out. So if you have Betamon and you're not interested in adding even more jamming inherits because you don't necessarily need them to the deck, swap your Beomons in. They're common. If you got a box or 2 of EX6, you should have enough. So, 2 Gaomon. Reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card with Gaomon and its name, and 1 blue Tamer card among them, trash the rest. It's good. Running it at 2 for a reason. It's good. 2 Gomamon. So, trash any 1 Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon, and then this Digimon can't be blocked for the turn. Extremely good in this deck. And then when it would be deleted, you play a Gomamon from your Digivolution cards without playing the cost. So you can just do it again. 4 Gaomon, both players draw the top card of their decks. Helps with your OTK if you have enough memory to do it. So he's good. And then 1 Lanamon in this one for hybrid. So you can hybrid into it for 2, because you can treat a Tamer as a level 3 Digimon. And then when Digivolving, you can place a blue level 3 Digimon card from your hand as a bottom source of one of your Digimon, and then it gains jamming for the turn, so you can just place a Gomamon or a Gaomon to gain a memory when a card's added, or if you have a Tamer in play, return one of your opponent's level 3 to its hand when attacking, or something like that, or just jamming under one of your things, and then you give this jamming, so it's just nice. 2 Galgamon. If you don't have a Thomas, play a Thomas. You need Thomas to do things in this deck, so fair enough. 3 Galgamon of this one, the BT16. So both players draw a card, and then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, or this has 3 or more Digivolution cards, you gain a memory. Really nice. Can effectively go into it for 1, and also adds cards to your opponent's hand, which is what you want in this deck. Galgamon. This one, For 2, return one of your opponent's level 3 to an owner's hand, and then if an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, you gain a memory. This one gives more jamming. This one, if you have your opponent has 8 or more, gets plus 1000 DP. So this is the nicest one for inherit reasons, but they all do things that you like. Digimon Ace, which is just super good. So it's a counter. You can, on Digivolving, on your opponent's turn, trash any 2 Digivolution cards from your opponent's Digimon, and then return one with no sources to their hand. Very good. And let's see, Mach at 3. When attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand for the turn, this Digimon's attack target can't be switched, so they can't block. And then when an effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, you unsuspend this Digimon, so you can do more than one attack effectively. And then this one, which is the limited one, return one opponent's level 4 lower Digimon card to their hand, and then when attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, unsuspend. You want this effect, it's just better. But yeah. Okay, this is an interesting pick. 1 fighter mode ace. So return one of your opponents with as many or fewer Digivolution cards to the bottom of the deck. I guess it just gets rid of one of their important cards, and then you can unsuspend the Digimon. You're not going to do anything else with this, so just extra swings. And a bot deck. Fair enough. Mirage. This makes the whole deck run. So when Digivolving for 4, return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon cards to their hand, and then if you can't, they add the top card of their security to their hand, and then you gain 1 memory for every 4 in their hand. So, effectively plays for 2 most of the time. You want it to Digivolve for 2, at least, because you need 8 cards in their hand to do anything with this deck. 3 burst modes, so you can return a Thomas to your hand to Digivolve for free, and then at the end, you trash the top of it. So it goes back to being a regular Mirage. So, Digivolves for 5, you're almost never going to want to do that. When Digivolving, you return an opponent's Digimon card to the hand, and then gain 1 memory for every 4 in their hand. When attacking, if your opponent has 9 or more cards in their hand, you can bot deck cards in their hand until they have 8 to unsuspend. So you can effectively kill them all in 1 turn using all of the unsuspends from this, and this, or this, and this. So you gain a ton of memory, and you just start swinging. Ice Wall's limited, for good reason, but you run 1 because, you know, you need to make the game last long enough. All of your opponent's Digimon gain when attacking lose 2 memory until the end of their turn. Just slows them down. One thing that should be mentioned is when an effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, gain a memory. For every 4 is all turns once per turn. So if they're playing a deck like Numemon, they can't add cards from their inherits or from Garamon or from anything else without giving you a ton of memory. Mirage is super good into exactly Numemon, and it's pretty good into other things in the format as well because of how many ace cards exist. So you can get rid of their sources, or you can bounce things to their hand, or you can do whatever, and it just gives you a ton of memory. 4 mentals to dig for your cards that you need, whether it be Tamers or Digimon specific. 3 memory boosts to search top 4 to get something that you need. It's great. Gain 2 memory later. Or Digivolve for 2 less later. Full Moon Meteor Impact, which is your removal in this deck. You can return an opponent's Digimon card to their hand for 8, and then gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in their hand, which, if you're in late game, just reduces this by quite a bit. 3 Thomases in this one. So on play, you draw 1, and then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you can suspend this Tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon with Gao in its name. So your whole line, basically. So, and then you have your setter, When one of your Digimon with Gaomon or Gauga in its name attacks, you can suspend to have both people draw one. So realistically, you want to use the when attacking effect of this, your inherits on your level 5s, this Thomas, and this Thomas to add cards to their hand to continually unsuspend when attacking on this one, or they're gonna have more than 8 most of the time. Tap this Thomas to unsuspend, and so on to effectively do 5 or 6 swings in one turn, though you can chump early with Gaomons and other stuff if you're trying to set up the big play to make it even easier. It's a great OTK deck, fairly consistent, and currently really powerful because of how much drawing is in this format. Okay. Nume. So, the Mirage got 8th. Surprised to see that there's not one higher up, but fair enough. Nume. This looks to just be the standard list. Yes, this is the standard list. This is basically the one that I run, except I run 2 Numemon of this, and then I run 1 of the RB one that searches when it dies. I also run 1 less Satsuki, but yeah, I run 1 Venusmon and 1 less Satsuki. So yeah, it's a good deck. Just does things, goes fast. Aegis. I've never seen Aegis before. I don't know that I'd call this Aegis. I think this is the Zhupeng deck. I'm surprised to see this as high as it got. It got 6th? Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so Aegis. When Digivolving, you can play a blue level 3 Digimon card, or 1 Digimon with Seadramon in its name, or Aquatic in its traits, from one of your blue Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying its memory cost. And then opponent's turn, when your opponent plays a Digimon card, you may activate one of this. So basically, you can just spam things out on the board. Zhaipeng also does that. So on play when Digivolving, you may place up to 3 of your other blue Digimon as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards, and then return all other level 4 or lower Digimon to the hand for each Digivolution card this effect placed. Add 1 level to this effect's level maximum. So basically, you can spam stuff out off of Aegis, and then you will just put everything under Zhaipeng when you Digivolve into it, and then you can return to their hand everything. Just everything. Like, you can add any level 6 or lower back to their hand. It's actually level 7 because it's 4 and then adds 1 level for each. Yeah, it's crazy. The real thing is it takes a while to set up properly. You have your Betamon, which is, amphibian. It's not aquatic. Goma, Sea Beast, Bio, Bird. Yeah, this is when played from Digivolution cards, draw 2. So off of Aegis, you just draw. Beta, if played by an effect, you stun something. Bio is a blocker that you can play out. Juke, on play, draw 1. If played from sources, gain 1. So draw 1, gain 1, jamming. Seadra, which is rush, has jamming, so you can play it out and then rush with it. Ibidra, 1 of your blue Digimon gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. On play, and then when played from sources, unsuspend that Digimon. So, you know, the whole name of the game with this is to just spam stuff from your sources. Seadra, on play when Digivolving, 1 of your blue Digimon can't be deleted in battle until the end of your opponent's turn. Zudo, great. Mega Seadra, on play when Digivolving by placing 1 of your other blue Digimon as this Digimon's bottom source. return one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to the placed card's level to the bottom of the deck. So, good removal. When attacking, once per turn by placing one of your other blue Digimon as the bottom source, unsuspend this Digimon. So, swing even harder. Hankunmon. On play when Digivolving, you may play one level 3 blue Digimon card from one of your blue Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. And then by placing one of your other unsuspend, so it does the same thing as the Mega Secret. Plesio is a level 6. You may play one blue level 3 Digimon or one level 4 lower with Aquatic and its traits from one of your blue Digimon's sources without paying its cost. Then you may place one blue card from your hand under this as the bottom source. And then, if it's a source, when you play a Digimon from sources, return one of your opponent's Digimon at the same level to the bottom of its deck. Like, it does a lot. This deck does a lot when it goes off. It just needs to go off. I've seen the Jean Peng deck before. I didn't think of it as Igus, but I guess it makes sense. And then Great Maelstrom. 9 cost. See, if you'd use it from your hand by placing one blue Digimon as a bottom Digivolution card of one of your other blue Digimon, reduces cost by 3. Return 2 of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. You know, I'm happy to see that this did well. I don't know that it's a great deck, but I'm happy to see that it did well. Let's see, Nume, and then Tyrant. So this is just basically the standard list. The one change is free of this Numemon instead of RB. Yeah, it's a good list. Does me well. Okay, here is this. I love Tyrant. I made a video on Tyrant. You should watch my video on Tyrant. But let's look at this list. So, Tentomon. I've talked about Tentomon. Suspend one of your Digimon. One thing that's an insect gains 3000 DP. Gain memory in battle. Kokaviteri, reveal top 4, add an insect. Pomumon. Players can't play Digimon by effects. It's good into Numemon specifically. 2 Lopmons. You want the Alliance. Alliance is really good. And the Inherit's also good if you don't have any of the other ones. 4 Blade, 3 Stingmon, and 2 Kabuterii. I disagree with this a little bit because I'd rather have 4 Stingmon and 2 Kabuterii. But the Kabuterii's nice. While this one's suspended, it's unaffected, and then when it deletes something in battle, gain a memory. I just prefer this because of the 1 cost. It has the same effect when it deletes something in battle, gain a memory. Yeah. Blade's Blade gains 3000, and then while suspended gets plus 1000. It's nice. The Ace. Ace is really good for 1 redirect exactly, but yeah. So on your opponent's turn, you can Digivolve into it. This one of your Digimon gains plus 3000, and then you can redirect it into this if you want to. And while it's suspended, it's unaffected by Digimon effects. Really, it's nice if they're swinging into a necessary piece to just boost it for that 1 attack. But yeah. For Meta Life. Meta Life's great. Suspend something if you want to. And then gain 3000, and then redirect. The redirect is important. The 1 Argamon's really nice because Digisorption. You want your Tyrant to be suspended anyway. And then you can play out level 3 Digimon. 2 Rhino, because Rhino's good. When it attacks, you can then just go into Tyrant for 3. It's really nice. 2 Grand Ace. Grand Ace suspends 2 things. Card suspended can't unsuspend, or card suspended by the effect specifically can't unsuspend. And then you delete a Tamer. When it becomes suspended, security attack plus 1 to something. Hercules, started main, or when Digivolving, suspend something and then give something piercing. It's really nice to further your aggro, even though this is a control deck for the most part. 4 Tyrant, play an insect for 8 less, and then if this is suspended, it's unaffected, and then end of turn you can suspend one of your other Digimon to return something with as much or less DP to the bottom of the deck. It's great. Hidden Potential, it's good. Agility Training, search top 2, reduce the Digivolution cost by 2 later, it's great. Green Memory Boost, search top 4, add a green Digimon, gain 2 memory later. Shine of B is good. I'm not sure that I would run it, but you can. Suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon, and then return all of your opponent's suspended for the lowest DP to the bottom of the deck, and then all of your Digimon get plus 3,000 until the end of your opponent's turn. Security activates the main. You can just bot deck 2 things. It is nice. I just don't know that you need that. And then Izzy is a setter that redirects things into a suspended insect. It's a good deck. I don't know that it's good enough into the current Topcut, but I'm always happy to see it do well. I'm always happy to see it do well. Magna X, 4, 3 of the jamming guy, 4, 2 Ukamon, and 1 Searcher. It feels light on the Vmon. I like having 14, but that's me. 3, 4, 4, makes sense. 4 Magna X, which is very good. And then the old Magna X. I haven't seen a list with this yet, so I haven't talked about it. But this is good into the mirror or into the Nume matchup. So when an opponent's Digimon attacks, if an armor form or X antibody is in this thing's sources, you can infinitely redirect into Magna X. Even though it's 11,000, nothing in the Numemon deck except exactly Valkyremon or Venus clears it. And then when this would be deleted, you can place the top card to the, or you can place it to the top of your security stack to prevent the deletion, so it'll just go back into being a Magna. You can go into it for 4. It's really nice. It only really comes up in those 2 matchups, though. It's not necessary against anything else. 2 Blinding Ray, trash top of your security, gain 2 memory, and then it procs Magna X. It's really worth running at 2 or higher. Ice Wall's just good, so that makes sense. Mental, 3 Awakening, 3 Heaven's Judgment, 4 Davis. This Davis is great. 2 Louis. The Louis makes sense with this Ukamon, and because you can kind of run this as a Rookie Rush deck, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't personally run it, but that's me. Shu, you want the Alliance. The reboot's not really necessary, but the Alliance is great. And then 1 Setter Davis to search top 3 and add a blue Digimon. Yeah, it's a good list. It's a good list. And then Yellow Vaccine and Numemon. This looks fairly standard. I would again advise 4 Myaramon and 1 Tokamon. But then this has 3/3 instead of 4/2. But it looks fairly standard, aside from the Mega Garga Ace. But this is a good pick anyway, because you have so many Rabidons. 4, 3. Yeah, I mean, it's a good list. The Shu, I'm not sure how I feel about the Shu in this list, but this is a decent list. I mean, I'd look at this. I'd probably change the eggs. But yeah, no, 4, 2, 2. Yeah. Looks nice. If you want to run this deck, there are worse lists that you can look at. It did well. Got them a serial card, so, definitely great. 4 Cinnamon. This looks like the standard list. This is the standard list. Yeah. So, I mean, that's about it for the decks. Yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. If you're interested in any of these decks, then you can go to Eggman Events. Eggman Events is the place to look for any competitive deck for any regionals that have come up. So, yeah, I would advise going to them if you're interested. And if you're looking at any of the competitive decks in the current format, they don't have anything for future decks. If you're looking for decks in future formats, I would recommend going to East's YouTube channel. He covers weekly meta reports for the JP format, and you kind of get to see the decks as they evolve because he also does lists in those. So, I would recommend these two places if you're looking to get into meta Digimon. But yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate anybody who came by, and if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you for sticking around. Sorry it wasn't more in-depth. I will probably be making some more in-depth deck primers in the future. If you have any decks that you'd like me to specifically do primers on, let me know. I can do testing. I generally need DCGO to do testing for decks that I don't have in paper. So if you have anything that you want from EX6, let me know, and once DCGO is updated, I can do some testing on them and let you all know my thoughts. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or go over to my Twitch. Hope you have a nice day. Peace.